Hello YouTube, this is Callum from EnglishShooting, and this is my review of the Vortex Viper PST 6x24x50 with the EBR-1 MOA illuminated reticle. Now I'll start with the boring bit, which is the box. Quite a big hefty box here and barely fits in my screen, but I'll get rid of that in a minute. So what do you get in the box? Well, pretty much standard stuff. You get the sunshade. Now you will recognize that actually I've taken it off for this video. I do normally leave the sunshade on, but because it's so long I just thought I'd take it off for the video. You obviously get your lens caps there just to offer some protection. I normally keep those obviously on the scope. You get details about your inspection and warranty details, and just the general advertisement gubbins. Get a nice Vortex pin. You would have known that because I have another Vortex. I've already got the pin on one of my jackets. All the basic stuff you normally get with a scope. So that's the boring bit out of the way. This is obviously what you're interested in, just the scope itself. It is the second focal plane, not the first focal plane. If you don't know the difference between the two, basically you have your reticle. With this, the reticle doesn't change with magnification. With a first focal plane, the reticle will change, and it just makes it easier for calculations and actually using the scope. The reason I have the second focal plane is because it's cheaper, about £200 cheaper. Talking about money, let's just get that out of the way. I actually bought this second hand and it was around £450. The new price on it today is around £580, give or take, depending on where you buy it. As I said, it is the 6x24, so it's got 6-to-24 magnification. It's by 50, so it's got a 50mm objective lens. It has the EBR MOA reticle, and the last bit being illuminated. You've got 10-stage illumination. Now, talking about my like of this scope, and I don't just like this scope, I absolutely love it, and I love Vortex as a brand. It's not got the whole wind up or wind down to turn it off. It's got 10 illumination settings, but they alternate between the level and off. So you can actually see on the side there, you can see 6 dot 7 dot. Well, that dot means off. So if you want it around sort of 5 illumination, you click it to the 5, and then one click either way, it's going to turn it off. It's just great for no fuss shooting, and the less you have to think about the actual equipment, the more you can think about what you're doing with it. Talking of that sort of illumination setting, and just like all the turrets, it's got a great texture to it. It really does bite in the fingers, and you're not going to slip off of this. You're not going to miss a click. It grips onto your thumb and finger just like sandpaper. It's really, really nice, a really nice feel, and it's a quality feel as well. The parts just feel nice to touch. They're just nice metal parts. Obviously on the turrets there you can see exactly the same. And talking of the turrets and even the illumination settings, it's a lovely click. Really positive. You can feel it, you can hear it, but you can also feel it through your fingers. It just feels just absolutely fantastic. A lovely, positive, sort of well-made click. Sometimes they can just be a bit sort of half-assed. With this, you can just feel it, that it feels like quality. My one complaint about the whole scope is the magnification ring. They're always really, really stiff, and I've used this scope quite a lot, and even the scope that I first had on the Remington and now on the Smith, which is the 1x4 Viper PST, even I've loosened the little screw as Vortex sort of recommends. So on here you can see that little screw there. I loosened that off, and I even put this sort of throw lever on there, and it is still really, really stiff. It's so stiff, in fact, that when I was using this scope in a competition and I went to quickly snap it from 1 to 4 magnification, even this flung off. It just, it's too stiff, really. That's my only complaint. And actually, although there's this sort of texturing there and you can grip on that ring, it's not as rough as the turrets. So for me, this ring needs to be the roughest because it's where you need to apply the most force, and it's actually got the sort of the smoothest feeling. But really, for a long range scope like this, you're not going to be changing magnification settings a huge amount. It's a real small issue there, and I'm just trying to find something wrong with the scope and to talk about, and that's my only criticism. It's got a 30mm tube on it, so obviously these are 30mm rings, and these are the PST rings as well. Buying this second hand, some of you will be like, oh, 450 quid, is that a wise move, buying a scope for that much? Should you have just paid an extra 100 quid and got one new? Well, the reason I had absolutely no problem at all buying this second hand is because of the Vortex lifetime warranty. Every Vortex product comes with an unconditional warranty, which means that you can drop your scope out of a 5-story building. As long as you've got something to hand back to Vortex, they will repair it. So I knew that as long as the scope was real, if it came with an issue, if it came with a fault, I could just send it back to Vortex and they would, with no quibble, replace it or repair it. The only thing, as I said at the beginning, is that I do normally have the sunshade on there. That's to stop glare on the lens. Yes, it's got the practical application, but I do prefer the look of it, that longer look with that sunshade. But this is obviously otherwise how I would have it, and I do absolutely love this scope and would highly recommend. I know that every review I seem to do, I highly recommend the product, but I did a lot of research. I bought this one, I paid full price for this at William Evans, had this on the Remington, and I just knew all I wanted was to get the bigger version with more magnification for long distance. So, I bought Vortex once, I then went and bought it a second time. So, I knew what I was buying, and I bought it because it's a great brand and a great product. So I know that a lot of people have been waiting a long time for this review. I'm sorry it's taken so long. I hope it's been a useful review. Hope you've enjoyed the video and found it interesting. As always, thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you soon.